Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 through 12. We're saturating in that portion of Scripture. And man, I love this story about the wise men, and they're such a challenge to me, and their dedication and how they are absolutely set on the idea of finding this new Christ, and the overwhelming commitment and the sacrifice they're willing to go through, and the total absolute focus they have upon this Christ. I want that focus in my own life. I want to be involved in that kind of movement of the Spirit of God that will literally bring me into His fullness and His oneness, and bring me at His feet that I may worship Him and open up the treasures of my life and say, hey, here I am. I give my total self to you. So the wise men are really a challenge to us. We're again saturating in Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 through 12. And there's another aspect of this whole thing that we need to look at in terms of Christology and who this Christ really is. Of course, we're again noting and keeping the primary fact before us that Jesus Christ is King. That everywhere you go in the passage, you come back to the fact Jesus Christ is King. That everywhere you go in the entire book of Matthew, you come back to the fact of the presentation that Jesus Christ is the King. He's establishing a kingdom that's unlike any kingdom you've ever seen. And He's a king unlike any king you've ever seen. For He's a king who's come to serve. He's a king who's come to give His life up. He's a king who's come with the cross-style kingdom principle. He's establishing a kingdom, and everybody in the kingdom is going to think like this. Everybody in the kingdom is going to walk like this. Everybody in the kingdom is going to have this style. It's all the style of never live for yourself. It's the style of die to yourself, give yourself up. It's that kind of style. And that's the presentation, of course, of the passage. Again, everywhere you go in the passage, you come back to the idea that Jesus Christ is King. For instance, look at chapter 2, chapter 2, verse 2. The primary question of the whole passage is what? Where is He that is born King of the Jews? That's the primary question. Everywhere you go, the whole issue is, where is He? Where is He? Where is He? The whole thing is about a search to find and locate this tremendous King. So you can see from verse 2 that the focus is on the kingship of the person of Jesus Christ. He has divine blood running through his veins. He is literally the Messiah. He has come to bring deliverance, and He is setting up the kingdom of God. Jesus Christ is King. Oh, again, it's verse 2. You can go down to verse 4 and find the same identical emphasis. They've gathered together, Herod has, that is, that gathered together the chief priests and the scribes. And he's inquired of them where the Christ is to be born. You know that the word Christ in the New Testament Greek is the equivalent to the Old Testament Hebrew word Messiah. It literally means to smear, which meant to literally anoint. He is the anointed one. So what are we looking at? Oh, we're looking at the amazing factor that Jesus Christ is the anointed one, the King. He has a right to sit on the throne of David. He is of the lineage of David. He is going to be King. He is King. He's establishing a kingdom. Oh, it's verse 4. Go on down into verse 6. Here's the prophet of old that some hundreds of years before gave this location of where this king would be born. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not the least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Again, He's King. This phenomenal Jesus Christ is the King. He is King of kings and Lord of lords, ruler over all. But again, He's setting up a kingdom that's unlike any kingdom you've ever seen established. For He will shepherd my people Israel. He will be a king like a shepherd is a king, who cares for his sheep, who knows everyone by name, who literally is standing at the doorway and is the door of the fold. He is the one who risks His life at the midnight hour, who goes out looking, searching, longing, aching, desiring, has to find His lost sheep. See, He's a redemptive king. This is the King. Oh, this is the Christ that we have. What a wonder He is. Oh, you find the same thing going down in verse 11. As you go to verse 11, of course, they have finally located the place of this king. He is in Bethlehem. The star has led them and is now shining over the very house itself. And verse 11 says, when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, fell down, and they worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Man, all of that smells of kingship. Hey, they're doing exactly what you should do to a king. Remember, these wise men are the makers of the kings. If you want to be a king, you have to come through their ranks, man. They're the ones that crown you king. Now they've run into something that's bigger than they are. They have found one who's king that they did not make. They have found a king that's been made by God himself. And they are coming. They are falling at his feet. They are opening up his treasures. They're giving their gifts to him. They are treating him. Hey, they are submitting to him. They are acting like he is king, for indeed he is. What a king he is. See, everywhere you go in the passage, you come back to the fact that he is the king. So it's the primary purpose of the whole writing and the presentation. Jesus Christ is king. But there's another element that we've been looking at. There's another aspect of the story that seems to be important. We presented it last time. We talked about deception. And if you got the message, you discover that deception runs through the passage. Seems like there's a parallel thing going on. There's the wise men, and they're desperate, seeking for truth and seeking for the reality of this new king. And then there is this Herod the Great and what he is all about, which is about deception and underhandedness. And we see that a war is going on. A battle is taking place. Of course, we know that the wise men are simply a symbol of the real war that's taking place. And Herod the Great is a symbol of the overwhelming demonic forces that are at work. We know that. This is just simply a symptom. This is just simply a representative of the war that's going on in the heavenly realms. And that there is a raging battle that is broken out. And of course we discovered that deception is at the heart of the battle. That the only weapon the devil has at all, man, the only weapon he has at all to defeat you is he tells you a lie. And you believe the lie. See, if I believe the lie, then he's won. See, all he's got is his mouth and his deception. He's constantly deceiving. That's why the truth shall set you free. For it's in seeing the truth that the deception is disbarred. And suddenly you realize who you are, where you're going. And it's all about truth. And truth liberates you, for the devil has no more hold over you. I don't know how you want to picture it. I suppose there's several symbols that you could give. But deception, it's the only weapon the devil has. He's a liar and the father of all lies. I picture him as being hog-tied. You know, his hands are behind his back and a rope is going down tying his feet. And so his hands and his feet are tied together. He's sprawled out on the floor. He's absolutely helpless. Hey, his teeth have been pulled out. He has no bite left. He can just gum you, man. He has no biting ability. He is absolutely hog-tied, helpless before us. The cross has done that, you know. He has no ability. And what is he doing? Oh, the only ability he has is talking, son. He just keeps talking. He talks a good line. He comes to us and tells us a lie. I'm not hog-tied. Hey, I'm strong. Hey, I'm big. Hey, I'm after your best interest. You ought to listen to me. And so we begin to buy into the lie. And so we follow him. See, it's all he could do in the beginning when sin started in the Garden of Eden. He just talked a good line, just raised issues, just twisted the scriptures, just connived, just deceived a woman, deceived Adam, and before we know it, sin has been born. So the whole thing is deception, brother. Just deception. All he can do is deceive you. Everything he tells you is a lie because he has no ability to do anything but lie. So deception is the heart of his game. And if we come to the truth, oh, the truth, Jesus is the truth, then deception is dispelled and there is no more lie. He has no hold over you. So the whole spiritual battle that is raging around us and that we are involved in is the war of deception. See, things are not as they appear to be. We look at a situation and say, oh, that's the way it is, when it may not be that way at all. See, we're simply being deceived by our own viewpoint, deceived by demonic forces, deceived. God is working, God is greater, God is bigger. Hey, it's not like it appears to be. Come on. Hey, the battle is won, son. The battle is won. Hey, Jesus is winning. He is the truth. He has liberated us. So we saw that whole message of deception. But what was the key in the deception? Oh, one way to keep from being deceived. See, there's only one great deterrent to deception. There's only one possibility of staying out of deception, and it is seeking. Seeking. You got to seek. I'm talking about openness. I'm talking about hungering and thirsting after righteousness. I'm talking about, oh God, I'm longing for you. Oh God, I want you to reveal yourself to me. Oh God, I'm wide open for you to do anything you want to do. Oh God, I'm ready for your revelation. Reveal yourself to me. Stretch me. Take me from where I am. Bring me into where you are. Oh God, I'm available. Come on, God. I'm seeking you, Jesus. I'm seeking you. Seeking. And you cannot possibly be deceived if you are seeking. God will not allow you, believe me, God will not allow you, it's biblical truth, God will not allow you to be deceived if you are seeking, genuinely open and seeking Him. So seeking is the key. So I want to tell you that successful Christian living, the secret to successful Christian living is seeking. We become very, very concerned because there is a shutdown that seems to take place in Christianity. There is a arrival scene. We come to a place where we feel like, oh, I've arrived. We plateau. We lean back. We tie a ribbon around and bow around our package of theology. We know all there is to know. We've heard all the stories. We've heard the sermons. Where there is no truth that God can reveal me. Growth shuts down. How long has it been since you had a new thought? How long has it been since new revelation came to your life? How long has it been since the Word of God exploded in your face? See, that's why we're after you about saturating in His person, saturating in His Word, until the saturation, oh, it's all about seeking, you see. It's about longing. It's about hungering. Again, Matthew chapter 5, verse 6 gives it to us in the Beatitudes. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness. It's a burning within. It's an anticipation from deep within. It's an addictiveness. It's an addiction that won't let you rest. It's I gotta have you, Jesus. I gotta have the unfolding of your very being. I gotta have the revelation of your very person. I've got to know you in deeper intimacy. I've got to have the unfolding of your person within me, seeking Him. See, the key to successful living, Christian living, is seeking. But that presents a problem. And the problem is given to us in the passage, which is what we're trying to deal with in this session today. The problem with seeking is found again in this passage, because the truth of the matter is, if seeking is all there is to it, if seeking is the real deal, if seeking, the passion, if that's the answer to the whole business of deception, then obviously Herod was one of the greatest Christians that ever lived in this passage. But we know that's not true. He was filled with deception. He was deceiving. He was an instrument of deception. So if seeking is the answer, Herod should have been out of deception and the whole thing should have been as it should be. But wait a minute. Herod is filled with hypocrisy, filled with cover-up, filled with deception, and he has the wrong motive, and he's out to destroy the Christ child. So obviously seeking is not the answer. Wise men are seeking. Herod is seeking. And what you begin to discover in the passage is that there is a parallel, there is a contrast being set up by Matthew in relationship to Herod on the one hand and the wise men on the other hand, and two scenes which represent the two sides, again, are being presented to you. Both are seeking. For instance, the wise men are seeking, oh yeah. They are passionate in their seeking, no question about it. They burn in their seeking, that's true. What could have kept them going all this time if it hadn't been this passion, this hunger, this desire? But you see, Herod also has a passion. Oh, he's passionate about his seeking. Hey, he wants this Christ child so bad, man. He's up at night. He's thinking about it. He's absolutely dead set on it. He has a passion about his seeking. So both of them, wise men, Herod, both of them are seeking, passionately seeking. Oh, both of them have the same object in their seeking. See, you see, the object of the wise men's seeking is all about what? We've got to find the new king. Oh, the new king. We've got to locate him. The new king. Oh, Herod, he's got one thing on his mind. The new king. How can I find the new king? I've got to find the new king. See, the object of their seeking is the same. The passion of their seeking is the same. Oh, the wise men are relentless in their seeking. Hey, they just will not quit, man. They will not quit until they find him. Hey, 2 years riding on a camel. 2 years, man. 2 years they're after this thing. 2 years they spend their money. 2 years they have left their family. 2 years they've traveled all over the countryside. They are absolutely will not give up. Relentless in their seeking. Oh, Herod, he's relentless in his seeking. Man, he's going after it. He will not quit. Whatever he has to do. Hey, slaughter 2-year-old boys and younger. Hey, do it. Bethlehem and its surrounding districts. Let it happen, son. I'm going to get this Christ child. He's absolutely relentless in his seeking. See, there's so many parallels that are going down in contrast to Herod on the wise men on the one hand, Herod on the other hand. Hey, they're both seeking, you understand. They're both relentless in their seeking. They both passionately seeking. They both have the same object in their seeking. But oh, friend, there is a vast difference between Herod and the wise men. Compare them. But oh, there's a vast difference. They're not even on the same page, man. They're not even in the same book. Don't you understand? See, there seems to be an element present in the wise men that's not present in Herod. And there's an element that's present in Herod that's not present in the wise men. See, there's something going on that makes the seeking. So if the key to successful Christian living is seeking, then the key to seeking is this element. What is this element? The wise men have something going on for them, that there's a quality about them that you're not finding in Herod himself. And of course, it's in the passage. We've been talking about it, and don't, again, get trapped with words, but we've been talking about it in terms of response. See, the element of openness, the element of I'm responding, the element of, oh yes, the element of stretching, the element of availability, the element of response. It's interesting that everything that's going on in the wise men is strictly a response. Response. Oh, it's a response. Get that. See, Herod, on the other hand, is contrasted with that whole thing. Everything that he's wrapped up in is what we would label doing. So I want to talk to you about responding and doing. Responding and doing. And there is a difference, you know. A vast difference between responding and doing. The wise men are responding. Oh, you see it in the passage, of course. See, they did not initiate anything. They simply responded. See, there's something coming at them. There's something beyond themselves. There's something beyond their own initiative. There's something beyond their own resource. There is a resource from without that's coming at them, and they are simply responding. How did the whole thing start? Oh, you know, it started 600 years before Christ was born in the planting of a seed clear back in the Babylonian captivity when the Israelites were there. Oh, the seed was planted, and now here's these wise men picking up on that remnant of the seed, on that planting of the seed, and the message. Oh, they picked up on it and respond to it. Oh, the star has appeared. They didn't produce the star, man. Hey, they didn't go out and make the stardom. Hey, they didn't make up this message of a new king. They saw the star, and the message came to them loud and clear. And what did they do? They responded to the star. They responded to the message. They responded to the plantation of the message 600 years ago. They were responding. See, they're interacting with this overwhelming stimuli that's coming at them. See, they didn't initiate anything. They didn't sit down and make a plan. No, they're responding. They're responding. Oh, you see it as you come on into the message that they're giving in verse 2. Where is he who's been born King of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him. That's all about response, isn't it? See, they're responding to the idea that the king probably is a Jewish king, and he's probably, everybody in Jerusalem would probably know. So they've come responding, and the reason they're going up and down the streets is responding. The reason they're searching is responding. See, the whole thing is a response. Everywhere you go in the passage, it's all about response. See, they don't know how the whole thing is going to work out. They only know the next step, and they respond to the stimuli that's come to them. Oh, verse 11, they're responding again. Hey, they're falling down at the feet of the Christ child. They're opening up their treasures. What's that all about? Responding. They're responding. See, they're responding. The whole thing is about response. Oh, they heard the king, and then they saw the star, and they responded. They followed that star again. It's all about response, man. They're responding. They're responding. See, the whole thing is responding. Now, Herod, he's vastly different. Oh, he's seeking, all right. But see, his seeking is characterized by doing. Oh, he's into doing, man. The wise men are into responding. Doing, responding. See, it's the whole pattern of what's going on. Oh, see, Herod is the aggressive leader. Herod reaches out and grabs a hold of it, man. Herod says, I'll make it work. Herod's doing. Yeah, he's initiating all of these things. It's all spilling out of himself. And everything that's going on in his life is not a response. If he responded, he would act differently. But his actions are all a product of his own doing and his own self-centered manipulation. The deception, everything that's taking place is a doing thing. Now I want you to look at the scriptures carefully. And no doubt you picked up on this in your saturation. But this is really interesting. Now I looked at the verbs that were connected with Herod, and I looked at the verbs that were connected with the wise men, and I really wanted to see that they were something different about them, the wise men and the verbs connected with them, than with Herod and the words and the verbs that are connected with him. But there wasn't. They're all in the same tense. They all have the same kind of impact. Hey, the verbs are the same, so you can't make any kind of a pattern out of that. But listen to the tone. Listen to the tone of the passage. In this case, reading it out loud seems to help. So I read this, but I read it out loud, and often I do that in the scriptures. Just read it out loud because it helps get it into my mind. It helps me in my saturation process. So as I was saturating and reading this out loud, I began to pick up the tone of the passage. For instance, listen to Herod, the words that are talked about in terms of Herod. Go to verse 4. Verse 3. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests together, he inquired of them where the king was to be born. Go down to verse 7. Then Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, verse 8, he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search carefully for the young child and bring back word to me. Did you get the tone? Oh, let me give it to you again. Again, verse 4. It's all about Herod. When he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes together, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. Verse 7. When he had secretly called the wise men, he sent them to Bethlehem. He said, Go and search diligently and bring back word to me. Now, maybe you didn't pick up on that, but hey, that's Herod. Now let's contrast, and maybe this will help you. Let's contrast that with the wise men. Listen to the wise men. This is really neat. Listen to the wise men. Verse 9. When they had heard the king, they departed. Verse 10. When they had come to this, when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. Verse 11. When they had come into the house, they saw, and they fell down, and they worshipped, and they presented. Then being divinely warned in a dream, they departed. Now, let's go over it again. The wise men, verse 9. When they had heard the king, they departed. When they saw the star, they rejoiced. When they had come into the house, they saw, they fell down, they worshipped, they opened, they presented. Verse 12. Then being divinely warned in a dream, they departed. Now, contrast that again with Herod. Listen to Herod, verse 4. He gathered the chief priests. He inquired of them. He And when he had secretly called, he sent them to Bethlehem. But what's the wise men all about? When they heard the king, they departed. When they saw the star, they rejoiced. When they had come into the house, they saw. They fell down. They worshipped. They opened. They presented. When they were divinely warned, they departed. Do you see the difference? There's a tone, isn't there, in the passage? See, the wise men are all about what? Responding. Something's happening to them, and they are responding to that. Over against Herod, who is, hey, reach out, grab it, do it, hey, kick it, I know what I'll do, I got a plan. And everything is initiated out of his own internal self. See, Herod is in charge. Herod is masterfully in charge. Herod is always in charge. After all, he's the king. Herod is in charge, man. He's what we call the aggressive leader. Oh, we really applaud the aggressive leader. We say, yay, oh, man, he's the shaker and the mover, man. He gets things done. Oh, yeah. Hey, he sees that things happen. Hey, ought to make him Sunday school superintendent. Yeah, put him in charge of the Bible study. Things would really roll, brother. He reaches out, grabs it, kicks it, man. Before you know it, he's got things operating, man. He can make a program go, boy. Hey, we want to put him in charge. Yeah, hey, yay, Herod, go, boy, go. And Herod is the aggressive leader. He's moving. He's the shaker. He's getting it all done. Wise men, they're kind of hanging around. What are we going to do next? Well, I don't know. Hey, oh, there's a star. Let's go. Oh, when Herod told us, and yeah, oh, okay, we got Bethlehem. Yeah, we'll go down there now. Oh, they see the star. They follow through. Oh, they see the Christ child. They come into the house. They see the Christ child. They fall down. Everything seems to be a response. Herod, aggressive leadership, man. Filled with himself, spilling out of his abilities, moving. See, that's the contrast. That's the parallel. Do you see the quality that's in the wise men seeking? There's an openness. There's a responsiveness. So you got this doing thing over against this responding thing. And it's the heart that makes the difference in the seeking. For it's the key. See, the seeking is all about, oh, this responsiveness. See, it's not just seeking then, but it's being open and responsive. And, oh God, I'm after you, and I want the revelation of yourself, and I'm responding to you, and no holdouts, and this is not spilling out of me, man. I'm being drawn into yourself. Man, it's the message of the gospel. Isn't it interesting that the same identical revelation of God produced doing in Herod and seeking, responding in the wise men? Oh, did you get it? See, the same identical revelation. Hey, Herod could have seen the star. Hey, Herod got the word, man. Hey, God came and brought revelation. Hey, the prophets of old, they read the scriptures. They were exposed to it. Herod knew all of this. Herod got the message. Hey, the new king has been born. And what did that revelation produce in Herod? It produced doing, man. Reach out, grab it, self-initiation. Hey, he's after it. Hey, the aggressive leader. Well, what did it produce in the wise men? Responsiveness, seeking, openness. Oh God, lead us where you want us to go. See, there's a difference. Now, I don't know, but it appears to me that you and I need to investigate in our lives exactly which camp we're in. Because you know Herod and all of his aggressiveness, and while it looks good and you can put him in charge of the Sunday school and things really go, somehow, some way, there's something wrong with this, son. Somehow, some way, this doing thing isn't lining up. That the real heart of the gospel is found in this seeking, in this responsiveness, in this interaction. Now, the amazing thing is, this is exactly what we find in the person of Jesus Christ. We do not lack, for example, of what this really means, this responsiveness, because Jesus lived in this responsive mode to the Father. It's what he was all about. It's what Christology is all about. That there's constant unfolding revelation of the Father, and Jesus is walking moment by moment by moment, responding to the Father. That Jesus never initiates anything. He's constantly responding to the Father. It's all about the Father. Oh, it's the Father and more of the Father. It's always the Father's will. What do you want, Father? I'm responding to you. Jesus never initiated anything out of himself. He always lived in the flow of the power of the person of the Spirit of God. Man, that's Christianity. That's what I want. That's where I want to be, man. I want to be in intimacy with God until my whole life is a response to what He's doing in and through me. I don't want to serve Him. I want Him to serve through me. I don't want to do for Him. I want Him to do through me. I don't want to minister for Him. I want Him to minister through me. See, I want to be a stage upon which He can act. I want to be a glove into which He's jammed His hand, son. I want to be the flow of His life to my world. See, that's the key. It's all about responding. When you come to this whole idea of response over against doing, and especially seen in this passage, it becomes very evident that the key to the whole thing, the difference between the responding and the doing, has to do with source. And I really want you to zero in on that. You would agree with me, and as we've come to this point in the discussion, that the idea, the whole difference between the doing thing and the responding thing has to do with source. What sources it? That's really the key. As you get into Christianity and who this Christ really is, you see that becomes the major issue. It's not an issue of activity. It's a major issue of sourcing. It's not an issue of whether you do the right thing or whether you don't do the right thing. The issue is what sources you're doing. That it really comes back to motive. That holiness is all about heart, motive, and what's going on inside of you and what literally is producing you. See, the issue of Christianity always brings you against the wall and says, let's examine not what you do, but why you do it. And what the source and motive of the doing is all about. So the emphasis is not upon the doing, the activity itself. The emphasis is upon the internal and what is sourcing it. Now, of course, doing is sourced by self. Doing is sourced by our own ego. Doing is sourced by our own natural ability. Doing is sourced by what we can pull off. While, see, response is immediately tells you that there's an outside stimuli. There's something else coming at me. There is something beyond myself. That this is not about me, and I'm not doing this. Oh, I am involved, and certainly I'm right in the middle of it, and oh yes, I have a choice in it. But see, there's an interaction with something that's beyond me, that's outside of me, that's coming at me, and I'm simply responding to that. Sometimes, someplace, you really need to think through this in terms of the gifts of the Spirit. See, it's really interesting and ironic that we in the evangelical church have really gotten into the gifts of the Spirit. We have spiritual gift tests. We have ways of finding out what is your spiritual gift. And it's all based on what? It's based on what you can do. Hey, you answer a whole series of questions, and you describe in those questions answers what you can do, and then we divide it all up and find out, oh, you're good at this. This is your spiritual gift. But that's all based on what? What you can do. That's all based on my talent, what you like, how you are. Hey, this is where I feel comfortable. Then we could do the same thing to the assembly line down at the factory. We could do the same thing to the world. We could line 1,000 worldly people up and give them a test and come up with their spiritual gift, which has nothing to do with God at all. It has everything to do with their own ability and their own desires and their own... See, that's not spiritual gifts. See, talent and spiritual gifts are two different things, man. Sure, God gave you your talent. We have no question of that. But you can use that talent with God or without Him. You don't need God for your talent. Oh, you have a beautiful voice. You don't need God for that. You can go down and sing at the bar, man. Hey, that's not a spiritual gift. See, spiritual has the idea of source by God. That I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for God. That this wouldn't be present in my life. This wouldn't be, I'll take God out and I'm dead meat, man. This doesn't operate. Hey, the only way this happens in my life is this is sourced by God and I'm responding to Him. So you see, source is really, really important. Hey, righteousness in one man and in another man may look the same. You look at their outside deeds and, oh, both are loving, both are kind, both go to church, both are faithful, both pray, both tithe, both do all of the right things. Hey, they are equally righteous, but oh, go to the heart and find out one has a stench within him because it is self-righteousness. It's righteousness that's produced out of himself, which is filthy rags. And the other man's righteousness is produced by, it's produced and sourced by God. See, this sourcing business really does matter. It's a key. And there's a vast difference between being sourced by the Spirit of God and sourced out of myself. It's really interesting when you go to the Greek language, which the Bible, of course, was written in, and you discover the word spiritual. Had a lot of confusion about that. Didn't think I was confused, thought I knew what I was talking about. Used the word spiritual, talked about physical and spiritual, like physical was over against spiritual, and if a thing was spiritual, it probably kind of superseded the physical, and a physical thing couldn't be spiritual. That a thing was spiritual because of what it was connected with, the content of it. A thing was spiritual because it had spiritual aspects about it. Prayer, for instance, is spiritual. Hey, Bible reading is spiritual. What you do down at the church is spiritual. If God is indicated in what you're doing, then for sure it's spiritual. But I found out that's not true. That when you go to the original language of the Bible and look up the word spiritual, what you discover is that the Greek word for spiritual literally means to be sourced by God. That spiritual has absolutely nothing to do with the content. It has everything to do with what sources it. That the activity is not what counts, it's what sources it that counts. When it's sourced by myself, not spiritual. When it's sourced by the Spirit of God, spiritual. Whatever I do is spiritual. Do you see that eliminates all the ideas of non-sacred activities and sacred activities? The division between the two. My job, that's not spiritual. Oh, praying, that's spiritual. Man, if I could pray all the time, I could be spiritual all the time. Hey, you're missing it. You're missing it. You are to pray all the time. That's the saturation in His presence. That's that your whole life is to be sourced by God until everything in and out of you is a spiritual thing. That the job activity is a spiritual thing. That washing the dishes is a spiritual thing. That how you handle yourself in the class is a spiritual thing. The attitude that spills out of you is to be a spiritual thing because it's all to be sourced by God. All to be sourced by God. And when it's sourced by God, spiritual. And when it's sourced by you, it's not spiritual. See, that's the whole deal. That's what we're discovering in the realm of Herod and the wise men. See, Herod is sourced out of himself. Out of his own self-centeredness, his own preservation, his own protectiveness, man. He's all wrapped up in himself. He's sourcing himself. While the wise men are constantly responding. Something is going on. It's outside of them. It's beyond what they can do. It's bigger than they are. And they're simply responding to it. It's like they're not in charge of this journey. They don't dictate where they go. They are not in charge of how it's all going to turn out. They're simply responding to a great resource. Do you realize that to come into response like that, you have to give up control? That's the problem with Herod, isn't it? He doesn't want to give up control. Oh, you think he's going to bow at the feet of some manger child? You think he's going to bow at the feet of some 1 or 2 year old boy and say, oh, you're my king. I give up my authority and my kingship and my rulership. I give up being called Herod the Great so that you can rule over me. You think he's going to give up the control and the power that he's been feeding on all these years? Not a chance, man. He's going to live out of himself, continue his control, master his whole scene. He's gonna pull the strings. And of course, where does that end up? It ends up, man, in all the destruction of 2-year-old boys and younger, in a desperate attempt. And all of those activities are sourced right out of himself. The wise men, makers of the king, come on. They're not your average guy. Listen, these wise men are the boys who would pull up in limos. These are the boys that have on tuxedos. These are the boys of the upper class. They're the top people of their kingdom, man. And you know what they've done? Fell at the feet of the Christ. Hey, we give up our control. We haven't been in control since we saw the star. We've been responding. So see, the whole issue here is a control issue. I found that true about Jesus, man. You talk about Christology, to walk right in the middle of Jesus and find out who He is always brings up the issue of control. Who's going to control my life, see? Who's going to control my activities? See, it's not some control. Well, yeah, I'll be willing to relinquish the control of my salvation. That way Jesus can save me. But hey, in relationship to my finances, I shall maintain control. No. Hey, well, I'd be willing to give up control in terms of my spiritual life. And, on Sunday morning, I'll give up control over that time. But hey, my Mondays are I have a right to... No. Well, my vacation is... No. Hey, this is control at the heart. See, this is bigger than just relinquishing some control. This is about the control until everything is sourced by the Spirit of God. Hey, see, this is all about an interaction. See, do you understand that what we're talking about, doing and responding, all has to do with an interaction, and whether you are interacting with someone beyond yourself. See, it's not about doing the right thing. It's about, are you interacting? Is there something beyond you? And the wise men, of course, are in this interaction state. They're interacting between the sovereign God and themselves, and they are responding to that interaction so that they are not responsible for what's taking place. They're responding to the Almighty God. See, it's not about, you got to get this. See, it's not about finding out what to do and then going out and doing it. Well, come on. Hey, I come to school, I learn about spiritual things, I learn what to do, what not to do, and hey, I'm dedicated, and so I go out and do it. See, it's not about doing and knowing the right thing to do and doing it. Because you could know the right thing, you could go out and do it, and still miss the whole deal. Because, man, it's not about knowing the right thing and then doing the right thing. It's about interaction between you and God. It's about the interaction between you and the Holy Spirit, and whether God is stimulating you within, and whether He's sourcing you until in and through you this is taking place. See, that's all of ministry. See, if you've come to develop your skills, if you've come to sharpen your abilities, if you've come to learn techniques, hey, you're going to miss it, man. If you've come to, gain some knowledge, if you've come to, hey, learn how to do it, and we're that kind of a generation. Hey, go to the Christian bookstore. The whole Christian bookstore is filled, absolutely filled with how-to-do books. How to be happy, how to develop a prayer life, how to have a meaningful Bible study, how to do it, everything, how to have a happy home, how to raise your kids, how to. Everything's about how to. We're full of that. Why? Because we're self-sourced. The very Christian bookstore, man, tells us we've got a spiritual problem, because what's supposed to be going in is, oh God, I can't do this. I'm incapable. No book is going to tell me how to do this. I want you to live within me, and I want to respond to you. I want the interaction. I want the source of your spirit. See, that's the key to the whole thing. You got to get into that, man, because that's what the Christ is all about. See, when you come to the heart of Christology, that's what this Jesus is all about. He's about being king. And it's about falling at His feet. And it's about not just doing what He says, because He's setting up a whole different kingdom where doing the right thing isn't adequate. That He's not a king who sits on a throne someplace and tells you what to do, and you desperately try to accomplish it and pull it off. It's that the King Himself wants to establish His kingdom within you, and you are to respond to the internal source of this divine King. And so He literally begins to work through you, and you're saying, yes, and you're responding, and He is moving, and He's accomplishing what you never could pull off. So don't come up at the end of a service and say, well, how do I do this? Don't come up at the end of the class and say, well, how do I get this done? Because that's the wrong question. That tells me you haven't even begun to comprehend, man. This is not about how to do it. That's the wrong issue. This is about, responding. Responding. Hey, I'm listening. This is about interaction between you and God. Let me ask you, do you have that interaction? Is God stimulating you, and are you responding to the stimuli? Are you living moment by moment? Is He sourcing you? Isn't it something to live in the Spirit of God? To have God's fingers stuck right in the middle of your life? He's orchestrating your time, brother. He's bringing the right person across your path at the right moment. He's giving you the right book to read just at the right time so you'll know just the right thing. He's giving you the right ministry ability. He's giving you the right gift of the Spirit. He's helping you just at the right moment to say just the right thing. He's putting in your mind what you cannot know so you know what to say. He's giving you the right truth at the right moment. He's stimulating within you. You're living in Him. Hey, He's bringing the right person across your path so you can minister. And ministry is not a plotted out strategy. Ministry is a flowing of the Holy Spirit as He literally divinely orchestrates my life. Man, that's the deal. That's the whole deal. That's the wonder of living in the Spirit. That's the whole idea of being sourced by God. See, that's what Matthew is presenting to us in this contrast between Herod the doer and the wise men who are constantly responding. Our thought process really interests me. Hey, an individual, he's down at the factory. He's in management, we'll say. And, he works like a dog. Woo, works like a dog, brother. Well, he's really into it. He's a workaholic, we call him. And he really gets his warm fuzzies, his self-worth and value from all that he does down at the factory. So he works 12 hours a day, crack of dawn. Hey, he's down there. When he comes home, he brings a briefcase, man. He's got all kinds of papers in it. He's figuring. He thinks about it at night. Man, his whole life is all wrapped up in that job down there, that factory. Man, he's producing, and he really feels value in that. So he's really into that thing down there. We talk about, come to church. He doesn't have time for that, of course. He's neglecting his family. Isn't this awful? Oh my, his kids are going to grow up and they won't even know who he is. It's really sad. Terrible, terrible. Oh my, this is really sad. He's a workaholic, man. He's driven with doing. Really is. Wonder how God could get through to him. We begin to pray, God, move upon his life. And can you believe it? In the midst of that busy schedule and his total focus on work, God struck him deep in his heart. God can do that, And God literally worked him over. And before we know it, the guy is kneeling at an altar of prayer and got gloriously saved. Woo! Jesus moved in. Wow, isn't that phenomenal? Hey, things changed in his life. Hey, factory wasn't as important anymore. He still goes to his job, but man, he's really into Christianity now. He's loving Jesus, boy. Hey, he's down at the church. We give him all kinds of responsibility because he has so much talent, He's Sunday school superintendent, running the Sunday school now. He's teaching a class. He's on the board. He's in the committee. He has a beautiful voice. He's in the singer group. In the working. He's in the worship praise team. He's working. In fact, he's just involved. Man, he's even preaching a little. Good night. Can you believe it? He's got a call to preach. Well, should have known it. Quit his job down at the factory. He's down at the church, man, 12 hours a day, man. He thinks about it at night. He brings, the work of the church. How am I gonna? Next thing you know, he's a pastor. He's a workaholic, man. He's at it. He's working hard, man. He's pulling it off. He's doing a great job. Hey, the church is growing. He's over here. He's calling there. He's down at the hospital. He's getting this sermon up. He's there. He's fixing the mimeograph. He's fixing the Xerox machine. He's really going at it. He's working. He's really doing it. Isn't it interesting? Down at the church, nobody says, my, isn't that too bad? Look at him. In the factory, my, that's too bad. Look at him. But down at the church, nobody says, it's too bad. Look at him. Hey, wearing himself out, man. Hey, workaholic, brother. He's neglecting his family. This is really too bad. My, tragic. Hey, his kids are going to grow up and won't know him. He's going to lose his family. Nobody says that. Everybody looks at him down at the church and says, isn't he so spiritual? He's really great. He's so dedicated. God will take care of his family. He's really... But man, look at it. Here he is at the factory. Here he is at the church. Same thing. Workaholic. Doing. Something's wrong here, isn't it? See, that's not what God has intended. That's not what God has called us to. Something is drastically wrong here. We've taken the doing that was the drive of our system. It gave us internal worth and value and gave us purpose and meaning, and we focused it on the factory. Got saved, changed the focus. Now we're doing it for the church. Yeah, we're working like a dog for the church, working for an institution, man. All the time, Jesus is saying, whoa, man, I called you to die. I called you to give all that up. I called you out of that. See, I called you to come and live in response to me. I called you to come and let me be the source. And you're working, doing. I want you to respond. You're pulling it off, man. I'm calling you to respond. I want you to relax. I want you to lean. I want you to surrender, man. I don't want you living out of yourself, out of your abilities, out of your own stimuli. I want an interaction with you. I want to fill you with myself until in and out of you I can begin to display myself. I want to literally flow my life through you. I want you to be a demonstration of who I am. I'm not after for you to do certain things. I'm not after you to punch a time clock, man. I'm not impressed with your busy. What I want to do, man, I'm not impressed with all your great accomplishment and all the fantastic programs of ministry you pulled off. You know what I'm interested in? I'm interested in this interaction. I want you and me to get together because I can do more in 15 seconds than you can pull off in 15 years. Come on, man. I want you responding to me. I want you to give yourself to me. I want you to flow in my spirit. I want to operate in and through you. I want to wear you like skin. I want to be the source that produces you. I want your face, your attitude, everything about you to be produced by me. I want to be in the interaction with your very spirit. I want you to be saying yes. Would you surrender like that?